Hey everyone, I'm Megyn Kelly. Welcome to the Megyn Kelly Show. I am just back from the Super Bowl where patriotism was on full display this year, and it was amazing to witness. After so many years of woke programming, commercials, divisive messaging. I mean, I literally just got back like an hour and a half ago and came straight from the airport. It was a wonderful event. I have never been to the Super Bowl before, and I really thoroughly enjoyed myself. I have to say, it's like one of those things. Everybody's in a great mood, you know, people are there celebrating their teams. It's a fun competition. I did not realize it would be such a networking kind of spot. I mean, like everybody from corporate America was there because they network there, which is something that's not really up my aisle, to be perfectly honest. But I did meet a lot of nice, lovely people and got a chance to say hello to President Trump. You may have seen on my Instagram where I posted a picture, and I'll tell you in just a little bit about how that went and what happened inside the Trump suite at Super Bowl 59. But I want to get to today's guest before we go through all that. This was not controversy-free, but it was a great game. And especially if you're an Eagle. I mean, it was just, I know the final score was like 40-22, but that, of course, does not reflect how tight it was, or I mean, what a blowout it was throughout the entire game. It's like the Eagles crushed them. They crushed them. Sorry, Chiefs fans. You know, you had a lot. I mean, I think you won it 2 years in a row. I can't remember. I don't know anything about sports, but I know the Chiefs have won a lot. So go Birds. Of course, the biggest loser of the night was not Travis Kelce, but his girlfriend, Taylor Swift. That's what Trump said in a post he made on social media thereafter, and he was not wrong. There's a lot to talk about. Joining me now, the hosts of the Daily Wire's sports show, Crain Company, Blaine Crain, Jake Crain, and David Cohn. Don't miss a moment. Subscribe to this show on YouTube and follow me on Insta, Facebook, and X. I have got some good news for you. It's called Firecracker Farm Hot Salt. This small family business is making waves, and if you haven't tried it yet, it's time to change that. It was the gift to give and receive this Christmas. It is delicious. It elevates everything it touches. I mean, eggs, avocado toast, grilled chicken, and more. It's got a kick, but it's not overwhelming. The flavor enhances food without overpowering it. The best part, it comes in sleek stainless steel grinders that are easy to take anywhere. Unlike messy hot sauce that runs out quickly, Firecracker Farm hot salt lasts and lasts, providing hundreds of servings from one grinder. Way more bang for the buck. There are plenty of blends to choose from, and refills are available. For those who find it a bit too spicy, you can mix it with a little regular sea salt, and that will tame the heat just perfectly. Do yourself a favor and head on over to firecracker.farm. And here's the kicker. Use code MK at checkout for 10% off your order. Don't wait. This offer is only for a limited time. That's firecracker.farm and use the code MK for 10% off. Guys, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Megyn, thanks for having us. Excited to be back. Hope you, sounds like you had a good time out there.
I really enjoyed it. I did not know I enjoyed sports this much. Maybe I will go to other live sports events now as a result of this one. I mean, is it always so festive and everybody's in a great mood?
Well, it depends on where you're at. I mean, at the Super Bowl, it's been a great year. I mean, you come back down where we're at in SEC country, and we may take you to an Iron Bowl and let you see maybe a little bit more vitriol. But no, the Super Bowl, everybody's feeling good, and you know, if you're a Chiefs fan, until they kicked off, and then it was just an absolute bloodletting, as we call it back home.
You were like asleep on the field. I joked because my husband's from Philadelphia, and we were driving home, and I was like, "You feeling good?" He's like, "Yeah, feeling really good." I'm like, "Are you going to go burn shit? Like, isn't that what you do as Eagles fans?"
I think they beat him
sure
to
enough,
it.
no sooner had it said it than he found out they were burning things in Philadelphia.
Well, I mean, at what point? I don't even think it's about them winning or losing. I just think they want to burn stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter.
Whatever happens is an excuse to do that.
They just want to go burn stuff. So
1,000%.
I've never understood that burning down your city after you won. I just don't, get that.
I'm actually a Giants fan. I grew up a Giants fan because my dad loved the Giants. My brother loved the Giants. I don't really know anything about sports, but if I have to put on a jersey, that's the one. We don't burn shit. We don't. We cheer. We have like ticker tape parades. I don't understand the rioting and destroying your city, but I'm still rooting for the Eagles because I do think that Saquon Barkley is a class act. What a sweet guy. Every story I heard about him was about him being generous to like the guys coming up behind him. When I heard him interviewed, giving the credit to other people. He He's humble. There's a humility about him. He's got a sweet face. It was his birthday. I don't know. I'm just like a huge fan. That was one thing the Giants did very wrong. Somehow he wound up an Eagle instead of a Giant. But anyway, what a star he was. And then I guess the quarterback was the other big star of the night, Hurts.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jalen Hurts, Cone, is
Jalen Hurts, what a comeback story. I mean, you want to talk about a class act. This guy gets beat out at Alabama, deservingly so. Tua Tagovailoa is one of the best college quarterbacks I've ever seen. Not a word against Alabama from Jalen Hurts, not a word against his former coach, Nick Saban. Goes to Oklahoma, plays really well there as a Heisman finalist, gets drafted. Nothing but a class act, and he's not the only one either. Brandon Graham, there's so many classy guys in this organization and well-run organization.
Saquon Barkley is the perfect role model. You want to be a captain of a team. If I'm a head coach or I'm a GM, not only is he one of the most talented guys in the NFL, especially at the running back position, but he cares about his teammates more than he cares about himself. He doesn't care about his stats. He cares about winning. Not only winning regular season games, but winning championships. And I think you put Jalen Hurts in the same boat. I don't know two better leaders right now in the NFL other than Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley.
Do it the right way.
Okay, so we all agree the Eagles are, of course, the big winners of the evening. Congrats to them and congrats to Philly. And then there were the big losers. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs, they lost. That was sad. I mean, at least they made it a great season. I mean, seems to be a world-class football team from what everybody says. It was actually funny. We were walking in kind of late, like trying to get there. You guys will appreciate this. They had shuttle buses to take us over, but we missed them. It just didn't work out with our schedule, so we had to be driven. And so Doug and I got driven as close as you could get. And then we had to get out and walk, and it was pouring rain. So it was very sad, ladies, because my hair got ruined. And, you know, it was like a big night. I wound up getting photographed with the president. I would have liked to have had good hair. Whatever. God had different plans. But we're walking in with everybody into the stadium, and it was such a shit show getting into this place. Not only because of the Super Bowl, because Trump was there and Social Security, or not Social Security, the Secret Service. And we're getting rained on. We were literally told to go around the block. We were just literally walking in circles. There's a guy who is what's the name of the Chiefs coach?
Andy Reid.
Andy Reid. It's an Andy Reid lookalike. I mean, the guy is identical. And he's just kind of walking there with one other guy with him. And there's a woman behind me like, do you think we're going the right way? I'm like, I have no idea. She goes, we must be. I'm like, what do you think? She goes, there's the coach. I mean, literally, it's like 5 minutes to kickoff. I'm like, I don't know anything about football, but I don't. And then we get there. We have to wait. They shut down the gate. We're waiting. I look at Doug and I was like, is this really worth it? Doug's like,
let's go
are
home.
you kidding me? We're waiting.
Yeah.
We're going in. So we did.
Well, Megyn, I wonder how many people. Andy Reid, there's probably a lot of Andy Reid like lookalikes like in the United States. I think Andy Reid would be a guy you could find a lot of lookalikes. You know, bigger, mustache, not really
this
stand out.
This guy knows he's a lookalike. Because I overheard him
He's
saying,
the type of guy.
Like in a photo lineup, people choose him sometimes.
Yeah, I think like Andy Reid's the type of guy who could enter an Andy Reid lookalike contest and not even win.
And lose.
Yeah.
And lose. Yeah. That's a good point.
He's looked like that since he's been 13 years.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Megyn, I don't know if you've seen the video of Andy Reid when he was, 13? He won a punt, pass, and kick contest. He's the same size, Megyn. Like the same size. If you get a chance, y'all need to see that clip. He's like the kid we all grew up with that's 12 but looks 30 years old. Like there's always that one in the group. 100%.
There's always that
and
one.
There's always that one.
So, okay. The biggest loser on Team Chiefs, I do believe, was Taylor Swift. I think it's fair to say. And we wound up, I told the audience last week, we were guests of YouTube, which, you know, as you know, a lot of our audience watches the show on YouTube. We've had record numbers on YouTube. I mean, actually stunning numbers over the past 6 months in particular. But so we went, and to the right, literally right next to us was Taylor Swift. And then to the left was Donald Trump. I mean, they were there. There's Doug and yours truly. And you can see Taylor Swift right behind us. That was her booth and the Kelsey mom and families. And then if you look to my left, there's Trump. He was two boxes over from us. And what a juxtaposition in the crowd reaction. So Taylor Swift got popped up on the Jumbotron, as happens with these big stars. And here's what happened. Those are boos. All right. And then here's what happened when Trump showed up on cam.
Broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. For the
Listen to that. The crowd saw him.
was so gallant this dream.
You guys.
You were in between that? You were
Blaine is
right in
saluting.
between those two?
What do you mean? Oh, yeah, I was right in between those two. Right in between those two.
What
and it was just
moment.
so obvious. The crowd loved Trump. She looked confused about why the crowd was booing her. And I submit to you, gentlemen, it doesn't have anything to do with, well, maybe a tiny bit to do with her support of the Chiefs, because I do think it was a predominantly Eagles crowd. It has to do with her politics and her shoving them down our throat, taking a side, endorsing Kamala Harris because of Tim Walz and his let's trans everyone's children and put tampons in men's rooms policies. She's managed to alienate more than half of the country. Taylor, sorry, F-A-F-O. You were in the F-O part of your political endorsement phase.
No doubt.
Well, I'm still trying to recover from a post I made a few weeks ago where I said, in a world full of Taylor Swifts, be Carrie Underwood, and I stand by that tweet.
Yeah, that is a good
Oh,
tweet.
yes.
But I think a lot of people are this one, to me, this was even more than about football, right? It's almost a culture reckoning here. Like, people are tired of the media putting false idols in front of them with a political agenda, and they want to get it behind a real leader that the people can understand, that actually see eye to eye with. And that's Donald Trump. This wasn't about Philly fans or Eagles booing them because she roots for Travis Kelce and the Chiefs. It's exactly what you said, Megyn. It's the political things. Whoever propped Taylor up to be this position, I'll never know. NFL fans don't want this, and America doesn't want this. So I'm not sorry. I don't feel bad for her at all. She deserved what she got.
Yeah, I don't feel Taylor Swift's made so much money at the end of the day. You'd be hard-pressed to make me feel bad for her about anything. But I think this goes back to authenticity. I think even the people that don't like Donald Trump respect him because at least he is being who he truly is. Taylor Swift feels like a puppet. It feels like a puppet. If you watch her political affiliation and that mixed with them just shoving her down our throats as football fans the whole year in the past 2 years, I think it all culminated in that, and that's the juxtaposition. You may not like me personally, but I'm real and you can respect that. You may not like me personally, but I'm inauthentic. I'm going to boo the inauthentic person. And you know what? That makes me feel like we're more back than anything.
Who do you think gets a louder standing ovation in that moment, though? Donald Trump or Megyn Kelly?
I'm going to go Megyn Kelly.
I'm going to go.
I'm going to go Megyn Kelly, 1,000%.
Now, you want to
Trust
talk
me.
about, yeah,
I'm going
the
Messi.
stadium.
No.
Even with messed up hair, which I'm sure looked great, I'd still go Megyn.
For sure.
It could have looked better. I'm not going to lie. You know, I will tell you what my favorite celeb sighting of the whole weekend, and there were some great, very cool people there. But I always like it when I get surprised. I swung by this Fox party, my old hot, and guess who came over to me and told me he was my #1 fan? I'm probably going to get him in trouble, but he's a big fan apparently of the MK show. Rob Lowe, yes,
Really?
Brat Pack star. Rob Lowe. I was like, welcome aboard on the fair and balanced squad. He didn't say what his politics were, but he was just, I think he was talking about honesty. You know, he appreciated the honesty of the show and didn't show his politics one way or the other. But to your point about authenticity, people know when they're getting it, right? They know. Yeah. They know with Trump, they're getting the real deal. And I think with Taylor Swift, she's had some good battles that she's fought. She stood up for herself, that whole Scooter Braun thing, and they tried to steal her music away. And for a while, the country was uniformly behind her. But she blew it. She blew it by two things, I say. Number one, overexposure. Same thing happened to J-Lo. She was too much, too many places where it's just like, I'm sick of you. I gave you some celebration. Maybe I brought my kid to your Eras tour. Now I get you shoved down my throat in every magazine cover, all over the internet, at the football games every week, and I'm just trying to watch the game. I'm sick of you. And then secondly, and more importantly, she got political. And I'm sorry, no matter which side you choose, you're going to alienate half of the country, especially when you go for the Dem and say it's the LGBTQ piece of the Dem platform that's making you endorse them. In particular, she named Tim Walz, a lunatic who literally would like to trans our children and take custody away from us if we don't want to do it.
And also, she abandoned her country music roots. I know that's just a different part of this, but still, that's where she came from. And I don't fault her at all for becoming a pop star. And hey, my origins are just as a country music artist. But it feels like part of it, she's abandoned that completely just to go sing pop music and has sort of never returned or to that demographic of fans.
Well, I mean, in a weird way, this kind of has shades, and Megyn, you may remember this, of the Dixie Chicks and what happened to them. I mean, I remember that fall from grace when they got political. Now, it's not to the extent with Taylor Swift because they were still singing country music and things like that. But I would put to you, Megyn, that one of the main reasons, outside of awful policy, I mean, Tim Walz, as sad as it is, I think he was just born that way. I think he's that type of person. He's insane, wanting to put tampons in the boys' bathrooms and calling yourself a football coach when we all know you weren't. And meanwhile, at the same time, you were in Tiananmen Square standing up in front of tanks when you weren't even there at the
time.
that
big six.
That's a story for another day. But I would put to you, Megyn, that one of the same reasons that Kamala lost so badly, I think she would have lost even if she was an okay candidate, was the inauthenticity, and that same thing has started to drag Taylor Swift down at the end of the day, not just getting political, not just backing the wrong political horse, but you can smell a fake from a mile away, and she's 100% fake when it comes to this stuff, and outside of talking about 14-year-old boys that she broke up with, I don't know if there's anything authentic about her.
Give me Lainey Wilson any day, who I met and spent some time with and loved, by the way. She was amazing. She's from Louisiana. I did not realize that. What a class act. Super talented, was nice to everybody. Loved spending some time with her and getting to know her and her team. Okay, let's talk about the game, because I definitely sensed a shift. Did you guys not? In like, what's happening in our culture happened at the Super Bowl. And this, of course, is a cultural touchstone. Touchstone it always is. So first of all, we had a presidential interview at the halftime. Again, I know it's not everybody's highlight, but it's important. It's something we do. It's part of tradition. And the fact that Joe Biden couldn't and or wouldn't do this to maintain this long-held tradition was disgraceful. We knew it was because he wasn't all there. He's still not all there. That's why Trump just stripped him, that plus fair game, because it was done to Trump, of his security clearance, saying even the special counsel Robert Hur said, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory, why would we be giving this guy top secret classified documents access? But in any event, Trump gave the interview to Bret Baier. He did great. It was a snappy 7-minute piece of a longer interview that Bret's airing tonight, and we'll have highlights of it tomorrow. But that was number one. The president, for the first time, showed up, was robust, was having a great time, was glad-handing with everybody, a moment for the country to celebrate our shared leadership, and wasn't too infirm to sit down and go mano a mano with Bret Baier. Let's start there.
Yeah, well, you brought back an old tradition. You mentioned the Super Bowl halftime one that Joe Biden sat out. Now, he didn't know he was sitting out. We think they took him to a Little League football game and told him it was the Super Bowl, and he thought he probably did one. But maybe starting a new tradition where the sitting president goes to the Super Bowl. Yeah. What is more American than that? What is more American than that entrance that Donald Trump had, shaking hands with the players there before the game? And then we talk about juxtaposition. You talk about Taylor Swift sitting on one side and Donald Trump sitting on the other. How about the juxtaposition of the president not only doing the interview, but looking unbelievably cognizant and going at warp speed in the first couple of weeks of his administration? That, to me, was the worst look for the Democrats. Donald Trump was cognizant. He was aware. He was snappy. He was serious. Could also be light. Just totally different than what Joe Biden.
Well, I mean, let's talk about what he did before this, before he even got to the Super Bowl. He was playing golf with Tiger Woods.
Yeah. That's a win by itself.
Is this the coolest day ever?
Yeah.
Like, as a person, you go play
He's
golf
living
with
his best
Tiger Woods
life.
and his
For sure.
his son, then you go to the Super Bowl and just absolutely kill an interview?
Well, in many ways, I felt
100%.
like, okay, we are back to my childhood. A sitting president gets a standing ovation, regardless of political party. That's awesome. The game was a blowout, like most of them in my childhood were. A couple of the commercials were funny because I had to sit through several years here where I didn't laugh at a single commercial. At least a couple of them were funny.
Because they were all telling you were evil because you're a white man.
Yeah, bad.
100%.
White man, bad.
And some of these were very funny. But on the flip side of that, also, we still have a black national anthem, which I can't believe we even have to make that statement that we've splintered so badly. We have to have a completely separate national anthem. And we had what, in my opinion, was a completely out-of-touch halftime performance. Regardless if you think Kendrick Lamar, this rapper, is talented or is a great lyricist or whatever, the national appeal to me doesn't justify him performing at the Super Bowl. It's the largest American event. So I do want to talk about that.
I mean, I appreciated that there seemed to be somewhat, there was red, white, and blue. I was like, okay, is he a patriot? I can't tell. Then there's online people speculating that no, there was actually, it was like somehow a middle finger to America with Sam Jackson. I don't totally understand the theories. I saw red, white, and blue and I liked it, but I didn't understand a word he said. I didn't understand his messaging. Apparently he sung the one song that was, or he sang the one song that is like his big rip on Drake. So that's like a personal thing. We have some of it. Okay, let's watch.
I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a, ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor.
He's suggesting Drake is a pedophile here.
They not like us. No.
Struck the chord is probably A minor.
Like what?
There's Serena. Serena Williams made
They not like us. No. They not like us.
Yeah.
A cameo is the ex-girlfriend of Drake. By the way, no evidence that Drake is a pedophile whatsoever. This is some sort of internet thing that Kendrick Lamar put into a song. They don't like each other. I guess he was like sort of a protege of Drake's, but then they broke up and they don't like each other. But that's a little small ball for the Super Bowl. And you looked around during the performance, nobody was even paying attention. Everybody's on their phone. It wasn't like, it was far from like a Michael Jackson where it's like, oh my God, right? Everybody in the stadium's riveted. It was like, okay.
Well, I mean, Megyn, you bring up the small ball comment, and I think you're right. I think something that would have been cooler is if he'd have brought Drake out during that, and they would have squashed the beef, and it would have been like a unifying thing, and everybody would have got behind it. I think that'd have been a much more lucrative way to go about it. Now, all of a sudden, next week, y'all are dropping a remix to a song together that goes to #1 in the charts because you just did it at the Super Bowl. But it's this childish thing, and look, we know people do this in music. They beef with each other and this, that, and the other. But as far as deciding to put him as the halftime show, and David has 3 great solutions to fixing the Super Bowl halftime, which I'm sure he's going to tell you here in a minute. But if I can't understand the words that you're saying, and when I listen to Money Trees by Kendrick Lamar and some of the other songs he does that I like, I can 100% understand what he's saying. But he might as well have been speaking North Korean to me. That's why after the first 3 minutes, I couldn't understand. I can't go along with something. It was verbal braille. That's what it was. I had no idea
Ben
what
Shapiro
he was saying.
at the Daily Wire, he tweeted out something like, it's a beautiful voice and a beautiful accent, but to be perfectly honest, I can't understand a word you're saying. Live in peace. The exact thing that Trump said to that Afghanistan journalist last week.
Well, he sounds like Joe Biden when he was on the debate stage. I had no idea. And what's the Serena Williams like? Isn't she? You're married to a white guy singing a song called "They're Not Like Us."
Yeah.
What are you doing? And if I'm Serena Williams' husband, you're gone.
Yeah, you're going back and dancing for your ex.
You're gone. Bye.
No.
I'm good.
And by the way, didn't her husband, who was the CEO of Reddit, give up his position voluntarily to somebody who's not white? It was during the post-George Floyd-a-Palooza mania where he was like, I'm too white. I'm going to give up. My team's going to check me on this, but I distinctly remember this story where he ceded his role for being a white guy. So it's like, all right, whatever. I don't know why she was there. But here was, because I know you were asking each other on your show, what did the ladies of The View think of it? Well, I've got your answer. Here's what they thought.
I did ask you that.
Where they went in response to the halftime show.
I think today Donald Trump is going to sign an executive order banning black people from halftime. Because you remember last week we were talking about whether the NFL was capitulating to Trump by removing the term "end racism" from the end zone. Yeah. Boy, did they not capitulate to Trump. When I saw Samuel L. Jackson dressed as a black Uncle Sam introducing Kendrick Lamar, who then had like an entire formation of all black people making a U.S. flag, and all the racists who somehow get in, man, were they hopping mad. So if the racists are mad, I am happy as a clam.
It was so nice to see black excellence and joy in front of the sitting president who decided for the first time to go to the Super Bowl.
Man.
Trump is upset because there were black people performing there. That's their message.
The accusations of racism don't land for me when, one, you just brought up Michael Jackson's performance, all-time great, and two, Prince singing Purple Rain in the Rain is one of the greatest halftime, one of the greatest concert performances that you will ever see. But I have three solutions to fix the halftime show, Megyn. One, just let Chris Stapleton do it every single year. If you already love him, you're happy. If you don't already love him, congratulations, you're about to fall in love. And we don't need any theatrics. We don't need to run a stage out there. We don't even need backup singers or a guitar. Just let him go sing Broken Halos a cappella, and that'll solve it. Or Lainey Wilson, for that matter. Two, we have the technology now where everyone could just pick the musical artist they want. Let's have 5 different ones representing the major genres of music across the country. If you want to listen to the hip-hop one, you click that. If you want to listen to the rock one, you click that. Let Elon Musk come up with the details. I'm just the idea guy. Or 3, we just get rid of it completely because high-level athletes running into each other for 3 hours should be entertaining enough.
I'm not sure those are going to work, but I have to say I don't understand how we make it racial. It's like maybe you like the songs, maybe you didn't, but because it was all black people out there, that's a fuck you to Trump. That's an in your face, and Trump must have been very upset at seeing black joy. Has there been a Republican president in modern history who has done more to reach out to black Americans, black voters, or who's gotten a greater proportion of them, only to have their side call all those people Uncle Toms? Whenever a black Republican succeeds in America, they call the man or the woman an Uncle Tom, as if they're some sort of a race traitor. And yet Ana Navarro, who, by the way, you're not black, has decided to appoint herself like defender-in-chief of black people. She speaks for them all. I don't think so.
Yeah. Megyn, can we just for a second, just about The View? Because what would have happened, and I'm going to try and, obviously watch my words here. I think if we wanted to get answers from terrorists faster, we wouldn't have to waterboard them. We wouldn't have to torture them. The form of torture we should actually use is to strap them to a chair and just play 24 hours straight of The View on a loop. I think you would get answers to where all the terrorists are. I think Hamas would be done in 3 weeks if we would just do that to a couple of them. They tell us where everything is.
I'd break like that.
Yeah.
And just broke out in a cold sweat.
But the worst part is, regardless of what would have happened at halftime, if it would have been a white person singing at halftime with all mixed people behind them, they would have called Donald Trump racist because a white person sang at halftime. There's no winning it. There's no way to appease these people because this is all they got. But Megyn, here's what I'm begging all Republicans to do. All pundits that go on shows, let them keep doing it. They're losing, and they're losing so hard. They've been found out. Don't help them. I see Mike Murphy and these guys on panels trying to tell them how to help them. I come to the sports world. If you're running the ball and it's not working and I'm on defense, I don't go over to you at halftime and say, hey, guys, y'all may want to start throwing the ball. We struggle against that worse. Let them bury themselves. Let The View keep doing it. Let Margaret Brennan and all these other people keep doing it because they're going to keep going down.
Poor Margaret. her name has become the new Karen. You know you're doing something wrong when your name has become the new Karen. All right, let's talk about some of the ads. Very interesting turns from Pfizer and from Bud Light, 2 companies that were very much in the news over the past few years and not for the right reasons. Pfizer has been, paid, I don't know how much they paid Travis Kelce to endorse their product. Their ad, name is everywhere, but their reputation has really taken a hit because, yes, they came up with the vaccine and so on. But the point is they were not open about the vaccine side effects. There are many Americans who have been vaccine injured who, because they struck this deal where they have this immunity for creating the vaccine, get a pittance in a settlement. They get almost nothing. But Pfizer executives got very rich. The company got very rich. And they just keep pushing it. I mean, people do you know that they're on the 8th booster now? That's the people who are obsessed with the Pfizer. They're on their 8th booster. And they're still pushing it on 15-year-old boys who are getting myocarditis, a heart infection, which is very serious. And some of the heart scarring from that may never heal. So yes, many of us look at Pfizer as a villain. Okay. They decided to drop an ad. It had nothing to do with their vaccine. They decided to go for the heartstrings, focusing on other things that Pfizer does. Watch.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rock.
It's a little boy in a hospital bed.
back.
Gets up.
I've been here for years. I'm rocking my peers. Put suckers in fear. Making
Rings
the
the
tears
cancer
rain
bell.
down like a monsoon. Listen to the bass go
Boxing
boom.
to the hospital.
Overpowering. Over the competition. I'm towering. I'm gonna knock you out. Mama said knock you out. I'm gonna knock you out. Mama said knock you out. I'm gonna knock you out. Mama said knock you out.
Hey, cancer. We're gonna knock you out. With the little boy cheering. Getting hugged by his mom. Here comes the dad. Pfizer's fighting for 8 cancer drugs. Was that the? Yeah. I mean, it was effective. It made me feel something. You know, a mother hugging her cancer-stricken little boy, of course. You know, the problem for Pfizer is that's only part of the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, anytime you show a kid beating cancer, it pretty much makes your ad uncriticizable. So congratulations to them on that. But the trust factor is still in there for me. Same with Bud Light, which I know we'll get to.
Yeah, no, I don't trust you. Yeah, you can. Again, it was effective. Like, I mean, I could feel something. We just had our first child. That affects me. But also one of the first things I thought when we had our child was about vaccines. I mean, you brought up, Megyn, 8 boosters. Brad Pitt didn't need 8 boosters to get cured in World War Z, let alone we need 8 boosters to beat coronavirus.
What's World War Z?
Oh, you haven't seen the zombie movie with Brad Pitt? Oh, Megyn, put it on the list.
Look,
put it on the
big
list.
screen. Let's get it on the big
Well, here's
screen.
the funny
Don't
part.
watch it.
Megyn, you and Doug need to watch it, and it'll get to the point at the end where I'm talking about, you're going to be like, oh, Jake, what Jake said's 100% true. Like, there it is 100% true.
We've got our plans. All right, thank you for supplementing my social life. All right, so you mentioned the Bud Light ad. The Bud Light ad. Bud Light has very clearly gotten the message. I mean, I get it. They're doing better. I'm just still so cynical about the brand. I'm like, you betrayed us. You never apologized. You bent the knee to the trans lobby. And the reason you never apologized because you're still on your knee to the trans lobby, who are very mean and vocal. But you should be on the knee to us, and you should apologize. I know other people, like Kid Rock, disagree, saying we punish them and that's enough. I'll show you the ad. You guys tell me what you think.
You want to go fishing tomorrow?
I got a colonoscopy tomorrow.
Fellas, I accidentally threw a lame party.
Okay, Ted.
They're on their way.
They're here. Ooh. You call this a party?
Cul-de-sac party.
Launch. These beers are a metaphor for an invitation.
Is that our leaf blower? Party at the sec.
You are cordially invited to the end of the cul-de-sac.
This is incredible.
Your mower smokes meat?
Oh, a smoker cuts grass.
Hell yeah.
I spent most of my money on this.
New rig? Fully custom. How many Bud Lights can you fit in that puppy?
As many Bud Lights as it takes.
A lot of Bud Lights.
We get it. We showed this ad last week. People get the gist. They're trying to appeal to your testosterone, saying they get it and they never should have partnered with Dylan Mulvaney. So are you guys ready to drink a Bud Light or no?
Hell no.
Blaine, that was your drink of choice.
In the words of Jonah Hill, I'll never forgive you. Yeah. People don't forget. I'm sorry. What you did, you can't come back from this. There's certain things you can't come back from. And I don't care who you put on the TV, Shane Gillis, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, whoever the hell that other guy is. What's his name? Post Malone?
Yeah,
Post Malone.
Well, at this point, there's nothing you can do to come back and get me to forgive what you did. You put Dylan Mulvaney as your biggest headline when it comes to a beer. How stupid can you be? And these people aren't sorry. They might put this commercial up here. Hey, guys, we're sorry. It's like a South Park episode. But to me, I have the brain of an elephant. I'm not going to forget.
So what if
they had a head of marketing who said that the customer base had gotten too frat boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's again, why can't anybody just the next brand that screws up, the best way to fix it is been the best way to always fix it when you mess up. When I mess up and don't put the napkins in the right place in the kitchen, my wife gets upset. Ooh. You know what I say? I'm sorry.
There you go.
We'll be better next time. If the Bud Light CEO would have came out and looked down the barrel of the camera and said, look, we made a mistake in marketing. I didn't have a hand in it, but it was on me. I'm asking for your forgiveness. And here's we're going to lower the price of Bud Light by $1 or something like that for the next week or something. That would have gotten you back in the good graces. Because still, to this day, Megyn, when I walk up to a bar if I'm going to order a Bud Light, which I don't anymore, if that thought pops in my head, I look around to see how many guys are around me. Because every time I say the word Bud Light, I think about Dylan Mulvaney in like a Nike outfit for women, and it just gives me the chills and takes me to a Stranger Things place.
It's amazing how much money Bud Light has spent with the endorsements and the commercials and the UFC sponsorship. They've spent all that money just because they can't say we were wrong or we are sorry. To Megan's point, they're trying to play both sides here, and now they're caught in a trap where they're trying to be everything to everybody, and I'm sorry, it's just not going to work for me.
And you know what else they did? So they got rid of that marketing representative and somebody else on the totem pole, but quietly. They didn't even do it openly. It was like, oh, they're on temporary leave, but they didn't attribute it to this behavior. And then suddenly they'd left the company, but they didn't attribute it to this behavior. All the guy needed to do was come out, to your point, and say, we screwed up. This was a marketing woman who went rogue and didn't understand the mission of this company. She's fired, and we apologize. We insulted and misjudged the values of our audience, of our customer base, and we will work steadily to make it up to you. That's it. I don't use the P word, and I know the guy's a vet, but he's too much of a P word to just own it. And until he does that, you're not forgiven. I don't forgive you, and I also look at your beer as a trans beer. That's it. Okay. Yeah. By the way, I was right about Serena Williams' husband. From Harper's Bazaar, June 2020, Serena Williams' husband asks the Reddit board to replace him with a black candidate. Alexis Ohanian has stepped down from the Reddit board. In a statement regarding his decision, Ohanian revealed, quote, I have urged them to fill my seat with a black candidate, and I will use my future gains on my Reddit stock to serve the black community, chiefly to curb racial hate. And I'm starting with a pledge of $1 million to Colin Kaepernick's Know Your Rights camp.
Wow.
Williams supported her husband's decision and tweeted, having diverse views on any boards is important. So proud of you, Alexis. I know Olympia will be too. Okay, that's where we were in June
Only
of 2020.
rich people can do that.
What a
Only a rich person. I've never seen a plumber from the middle of Ohio go, you know what? I'm the #1 plumber here in Canton, but I'm stepping down because I'm white. Only rich. That's like the richest thing I've ever heard. That's in a fantasy land that I can't even. I hope one day maybe I could live in that realm. I'm not stepping down.
It sounds like
maybe it's for one of my kids or something.
It sounds like to me he didn't really want to work anymore.
No,
he
just
he didn't need to.
On someone
it's very
else.
white saviory too.
Game.
It's very white saviory. You know what I mean? Like, I must step aside for you blacks to have my position. Otherwise,
just quit.
You could never get in because, of course, you couldn't beat me, on the merits. It's just, it stinks on many levels. Okay. Now, there were some good ads, and my team has reached out to you guys, and we have gotten your favorites. And I feel like it might be unanimous that this is the #1 favorite ad for Jeep.
Longest thing we ever do is live our lives. But life doesn't come with an owner's manual. Might have been nice, huh? But that means we get to write our own stories. Freedom is yes, or no, or maybe. Freedom is for everybody, but it isn't free. It's earned. There are real heroes in the world, but not the ones in the movies. Real heroes are humble. They're not driven by pride. The most sacred thing in life isn't the path. It's the freedom to choose. So choose, but choose wisely. Choose what makes you happy. My friends, my family, my work make me happy. This Jeep makes me happy, even though my name is...
Damn right.
I hadn't seen that. The problem of being at the game is you don't see any of the ads. That was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, well, look, it's the formula for the perfect ad, right? America winning wars, your product. Good monologue that isn't political, plus a dog.
And Han Solo.
And Han Solo's a good ad too, but I'm not a mathematician, but that's a pretty good formula, Cody.
No doubt.
It made me feel proud to be an American.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the message we need to send out to people right now. You should be proud to be an American, and it doesn't get better than that to me.
Yep.
Harrison Ford is still really cool. And maybe he's done a celebrity endorsement of a political candidate. I don't remember it if he has. He's not that outspoken on politics at a minimum. I can say that. I think I would have noticed. But I must tell you, even if he were, I would totally forgive and love him. You know, I just think he's so cool. He's like transcended all that stuff for me. Yes, Star Wars, everybody loves him from Star Wars. That's more, I think, of a guy thing, to be perfectly honest. For a woman, it's the working girl character that he played. There's never been anybody cuter. He was adorbs. And he's got this great combination of being like relatable, but also like very sexy. And as he gets older, he's not dyeing his hair. His voice is getting kind of gravelly. I don't know, he's entered like a different phase of cool, and Jeep was very smart to get him to endorse their product and to do all the imagery that you guys just talked about. It's even if it's subtle, you get what they're saying. Like, we're back. America is back, baby. And Jeep is on board for it. Okay, so that I see why you loved it. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. The next one my team tells me you guys enjoyed was the Uber Eats ad. Here it is. Stop 14.
From the very beginning, football has been a conspiracy to make us hungry.
And we'll call this a pigskin. Make people crave bacon. Bacon.
And everybody loves bacon.
I love bacon.
They do anything to sell food.
Coach, how come we only play on Sundays? Because nobody's eating ice cream Saturdays, kid. Jeez. So the Packers were named after meat packers.
So what should we call the fans, Coach?
Cheeseheads. Of course. Why do you think Buffalo got a team?
These wings deserve a team.
Yeah. I figured out a good team name for Buffalo, Bill. Buffalo. Buffalo.
And their biggest game? Come on.
Our championship will be a super cup.
Can't eat out of a cup, Ted, but a bowl? How about a Super Bowl?
And we'll start naming players after appliances.
Hey, Coach, do I have to be called refrigerator?
Yes. And Peyton? He was a beef salesman.
Omaha!
Steak.
Omaha!
No one believes that football is just some conspiracy to sell
Food! When football makes you hungry, order Uber Eats.
Well
That's
done.
very clever.
Well done. Everything you just said about Harrison Ford, everything you just said about Harrison Ford a minute ago, copy and paste to Matthew McConaughey. Effortlessly cool. I mean, is he our generation's, a younger generation's Harrison Ford?
I mean, yeah, look, Matthew McConaughey's his versatility is incredible. But, you know, Megyn, this is like the culmination of a bunch of other commercials that they've done with Matthew McConaughey talking about food that have all been funny.
Yeah.
So this was like
They've all been
the
good.
mea culpa.
He did one with Woody
of
Harrelson
it
that
to
I
the
enjoyed.
end. That's fantastic. So I think it's original, too. I'm the biggest football fan in the world. I would have never made that connection. So the originality, Matthew McConaughey being funny, and then going through the different eras of football, all the way back to the first game to kind of modern day with Peyton Manning. I just thought it was absolutely perfectly put together. And it's funny. It's originally funny and not forced, which I think is money.
I saw a quick clip of Matthew McConaughey. I don't even know what it was from, but you know, I think he is from Texas, and he's like, the interviewer's like, "How you doing?" And he goes, "Just trying to get my 8 seconds on the bull like everyone else."
Yeah, all right. I can't. Half his commercials, at least I understood what he was saying in that one. When he does the Escalade commercials, he's just talking in nonsensical quips. At least
it still works.
And it still works.
It's closer to Kendrick Lamar.
That's how you know you've got talent.
That's exactly right.
All right, what'd you think, Blaine?
I thought it was kind of the same thing, echo what Jake said. It's kind of a different train of thought when it comes to sports, which is creative and cool, and it's clever. And anytime you put together football, food, and Matthew McConaughey, I mean, that's basically the triple X right there. That's a trifecta. I'll buy whatever from Uber Eats. Hell, at this point, I'm pretty close to buying Uber Eats and a Jeep.
And there's no woke messaging.
Same.
No, just like straightforward, to the point, highlighted your product, like you said, and made me laugh.
Yeah, that's all it takes.
Just
Can
didn't
I
have
tell
the
you,
dog.
Uber Eats, something so funny about Uber Eats. I was just remarking on this to my husband the other day. Our 15-year-old had some buddies over, and it was like maybe 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and two of them are sitting there eating like burgers and fries. I did not get anybody burgers and fries, and they'd been at my house for a couple of hours. I'm like, where'd you guys get, they're like, oh, we Uber Eats'd it. I'm like,
money.
You no longer have to provide, you know, as like the homemaker. You don't have to provide for anybody.
Well, when my wife was pregnant, I mean, we probably had the Uber Eats stock go up about 70% for the last 4 months of that. So it's it's always a winner. And I mean, you don't even have to go to the drive. I think drive-thrus, may be hurting a little bit like the old school drive-thrus because you don't even have to go to the drive-thru anymore. They'll just bring it to the house.
There's something about people delivering your food. It just hits different.
It does hit different.
It just hits different.
Yeah. Well, I'm a big fan now. I did wind up feeding them again later. But man, Uber, thank you for the assist. Guys, thank you for the assist. I appreciate it and enjoy the show.
Thanks so much for having us, Megyn. It's always a pleasure to come on here, and glad you had a good time at the Super Bowl. Maybe we'll see you out there next year.
They're my translators. They translate sports into news speak so I can understand it. Well done. These days, personal safety is not something that can be left to chance. Whether at home, on the road, or just living everyday life, having a reliable way to protect yourself and your family is crucial. This is why Byrna is the choice for so many. Byrna is a game-changing, less lethal self-defense tool. Compact, powerful, and easy to use, it provides the confidence to act in any situation. Byrna uses non-lethal rounds, tear gas, pepper, and kinetic projectiles to effectively stop a threat from a safe distance. And the best part is Byrna can be shipped direct to your door, and it's legal in all 50 states. The good thing about Byrna, if you're somebody who doesn't practice with firearms all the time, is you don't even have to have the best aim. If you can hit like the wall right behind the intruder or the bad guy, you could potentially incapacitate him with this, what's essentially like a chemical weapon in this projectile. So you don't actually have to hit the guy. As long as you get it really close to him, it could take him out for the next hour, which is the time you need to protect yourself. Byrna is proudly American with products hand-assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Sometimes a firearm is not the right option for you, and Byrna provides a powerful alternative. Protect what matters most with Byrna. Visit Byrna.com, that's BYRNA.com/Megyn, and that will get you a 10% discount. And learn for yourself why thousands of people and law enforcement agencies are making the switch to Byrna's less lethal protection. Byrna, non-lethal self-defense, always ready. We all have about 1 million things on our plates these days: family, work, staying healthy. But I want to tell you about We Heart Nutrition. We Heart Nutrition creates the high-quality, research-backed supplements for women and men at every stage of life. Whether you are managing a busy household, a demanding career, or both, these supplements are designed to help you stay strong, energized, and to achieve your wellness goals. They are proudly pro-life, donating 10% of every sale to pregnancy care centers. And with over 1,000 five-star reviews, people are seeing real results and sharing how these products have changed their lives. Go to WeHeartNutrition.com and take their 20-second quiz to get recommendations tailored just for you. And right now, We Heart Nutrition is offering 20% off your first order when you use code Megyn at checkout. Plus, get a free bamboo capsule box with any order of $50 or more. Invest in your health. Head to WeHeartNutrition.com today and use code Megyn for 20% off your first order. That's WeHeartNutrition.com, code Megyn. So I'm going to tell you guys something. I have a couple of other things to say now that our guests are gone. Not that it needed to wait, but I wanted to tell you something about Harrison Ford. I've been meaning to mention this to you. So everybody saw the movie Presumed Innocent, right? Or read the book by Scott Turow. If you haven't, please do both. The movie came out years and years ago. It starred Harrison Ford as an embattled prosecutor who winds up accused in the death of his mistress. And it's just an amazing, well-written, well-done book and movie. And Harrison Ford's amazing in it. So then this past summer, they came out with the Netflix redo of Presumed Innocent as a series, like a 6-episode series. And it was written, I think Scott Turow consulted, but it was written, this one, by David E. Kelly, the guy who wrote The Practice and Big Little Lies. And he's one of our best television writers. He also happens to be married to Michelle Pfeiffer. So he wrote it, and Jake Gyllenhaal starred in it. It was really well done, and it was very different from the original. He went way off the book, but also came up with a bunch of clever twists, and my whole family enjoyed it. We were on the edge of our seats the whole 6 episodes. Well, just now, Scott Turow has dropped his sequel. It's like one of the sequels. I guess it's like the second sequel to Presumed Innocent, and it's called Presumed Guilty. And I listen to my books. I don't really read them. I read so much for the show. I like to spare my eyes. So I listened to the whole thing on audiobook, and I loved the audiobook. I want you to know this. I loved the audiobook of Presumed Guilty. The guy who reads it, forgive me, I don't have his name in front of me. He sounds like he's like a guy who, like, you know, maybe was kind of waspy, drinks scotch at night, and is just sick of the bullshit. You know, like, that's just how he sounds to me. Like, just sort of a no-nonsense dude who's like, this is the way the world is. Now, Scott is a Democrat, and there's a little, he's not woke, there's a little touch of those, like, messages in there. I don't care. I think he's brilliant. I really, really enjoyed it. And I think you might enjoy the read of Presumed Guilty. But I'm just going to tell you another thing. So it got me on a Scott Turow path. And I didn't realize he did write a sequel to Presumed Innocent called Innocent. And it involves all the same characters as the first book. And I'm listening to that on audio tape right now. And I cannot put it down. It's so good. Don't know how it's going to end. You know, bear with me. But if you're looking for something, if you like legal thrillers, as I do, I think you'll really enjoy this. And Scott Turow, thank you for the hours and hours of entertainment. For what it's worth, in my head, when I picture Rusty Sabich, the protagonist of all of these books, I picture Harrison Ford. It just makes you love him even more. It just goes to show you get one of those big roles as an actor. You can ride it for the next several decades if you at least connect to somebody who's a hit writer like Scott Turow is. So there you go, my entertainment recommendations for the day. Okay, I want to get to what happened. There's so much news, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. We have a full show for you tomorrow. I mean, I went over, I was in the YouTube box and met a lot of absolutely lovely people, such accomplished people who are so like in good humor and down to earth. The one guy who owns Tinder and Match.com, and another guy who runs Pinterest. Super sweet guys, like, who absolutely no airs about them. You would never have known that they run these very big, powerful companies. Just very cool people. Really enjoyed our time with these guys. Then I got up. I told you about Lainey Wilson, star, the nicest. Had a deep conversation with her about God and religion and where she's at and where I'm at. And really, really loved it. She sent me some great recommendations, including a Sean Ryan podcast she really loved. We both are big fans of Sean Ryan. So then I was trying to use the ladies' room, and something very funny happened. I went out, I told you where I was in relation to Taylor Swift. Well, I walk out the box, the suite, and there's, the dress, the lady in a dress that signifies this is the women's room. So I go, and there's a woman standing there. And so I, of course, just assume there's a line. And I'm like, oh, are you in line? And she's like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. So I go to get past her, and she's like, oh, no, I think someone's in there. And I'm like, one person? I'm like, oh, she's like, there was something unclear about what she said. So I tried to go past her, and then I pressed down the doorknob, and it started to open. And I heard like, oh, and then she was like, oh, no. And then I realized Taylor Swift was clearly in there, and this was like a privacy guard for her. So I think I almost walked in on Taylor Swift in the bathroom. And I'm really glad that did not happen. Really, really glad. So then I realized it was just one of those one-stall bathrooms, and I found the actual women's room, which is where I went. It was fine. But on my way to try to find the women's room, I actually ran into Donald Trump Jr. And he's such a sweetheart. I have to say, he's really one of my favorite people. I have never seen him where he is anything other than totally magnanimous, kind, warm. What do you need? What do you need to know? How can I be of help to you? Just like the most genuine, likable guy. Truly, I'm a huge fan of his. And he was with his new girlfriend who I met, who is stunning. She's like super tall, and you're taken aback by the beauty coming at you down the hall. She was super gracious, very nice person. And they're going the other way. I'm going this way. And he said, oh, have you seen my dad? I was like, no, I haven't seen him. And he's like, do you want to say hi? And of course I want to say hi to the president. It was out of his way. He was leaving the suite. They were walking like halfway down the hall by the time he offers me this. He sees me. He turns back around to take me back into the suite. That's very kind. He's like with an entourage. Really appreciated it. Go in there. It's like a who's who of, Republican politics in there. Got to meet Karoline Leavitt. That was a highlight. His press secretary, 27-year-old star. And of course, this is a picture of yours truly with the president, with Don Jr., and with Steve Scalise, total patriot. Of course, took a bullet from a lunatic who was outraged over things he'd heard on Rachel Maddow's show, but really was just a lunatic, and has gone on to just do wonders in the Republican Party. Very loyal to the president, close ally. So I enjoyed meeting with Karoline. She's crushing it. Do you know she has a baby? She has a baby, a 1-year-old, who is a little boy, and she is, of course, having all the struggles of new motherhood while she's on the road constantly with President Trump, but she's finding a balance. What she's doing is a service to her country. She's, I think, truly just a patriot. She loves Trump. She loves the country. And I think she's correct that she can find a balance, even though she's got a baby right now, between serving her country and the president and taking care of her little boy. She's got a very supportive husband, too. So say a prayer for Karoline. That's a big challenge, and I think she's doing a wonderful job. Got to spend some time with Katie Britt, who was there with her son, her teenage son, who's a 14-year-old freshman in high school. What a doll. I told him how cool his mom is. She's there taking her son to the Super Bowl. Hello. Anyway. Saw Eric Schmidt, former Attorney General of Missouri, who now is the senator from the state. He's been doing great work on so many issues that are near and dear to all of our hearts. The whole thing was just such a uplifting tour, right? Like, you walk through and you see this person to whom you're grateful and that person to whom you're grateful. The president was next to his daughter, Ivanka, who has been far less in the public eye this time around, but is a total class act. She's just, she and Jared, I think, decided to recede from political life because they just got completely battered and bruised. First, they all did. I mean, Don Jr. always says he's the most subpoenaed person in U.S. history. Eric Trump, too, same. Laura Trump is more outspoken, and she enjoys that. But not everybody wants the downside of what comes with putting yourself out there when it comes to politics. And I think Jared and Ivanka, I think they're there for the president, but maybe just don't want that to be the pointy part of the spear like their dad. As she was next to the president, looked luminous, totally warm, and all the family. I think their natural closeness with one another leads to like an inner joy. I do. I mean, they're extremely close. They're extremely loyal to one another. They know they have that sort of wolf pack. And I think if you build that same dynamic in your own family, you'll have the same closeness with your kids. You'll have the same camaraderie, even when they're all adults and they're already producing the next generation. So anyway, had a great chat with the president. After I left him, he banned the penny. Or maybe it was right before. I don't know. He banned the penny last night because apparently it costs more than 2 cents to make 1 cent. And Trump said, this makes no sense. So we're not making pennies anymore. I've got to say, thumbs up. It was the least of what he did over the weekend, and we'll talk about all of that in more detail tomorrow. But I think the overall sentiment I got from Team Trump was that they are thrilled that the fight the left is choosing to pick is over the firing of bureaucrats, the jobs of bureaucrats. Boo-hoo! A bureaucrat got fired. A bureaucrat has lost their lifetime employment on the public dime. They accurately deduce that is not going to tug on anybody's heartstrings. No one's. And, Trump said to Brett Baier, I ran on this. I told people I was going to do this. And, Brett brought up with him, some people say, whatever, Elon's in there with his team of, tech bros, and they're looking at things they shouldn't be looking at. And, is he looking up his competitors' private data? Like, what's he doing? It's like, what reason do you have to distrust him, right? And here was Trump defending Elon for what it's worth.
I don't know if it's kickbacks or what's going on, but the people, look, I ran on this, and the people want me to find it. And I've had a great help with Elon Musk, who's been terrific.
Bottom line, you say you trust him.
Trust Elon? Oh, he's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so into it. But I told him to do that. Then I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse. And, the people elected me on that.
100% right. And that's been one of the things all along, we are so lucky we have Elon Musk willing to work for us, willing to bring this tech team in there to kick the tires of these agencies and see who's wasting our money with a bunch of fraudulent kickback schemes to their left-wing buddies. And the answer is a lot of people are. There have been some activist judges trying to slow it down or stop it. I am very confident that the executive branch will see its powers upheld once these cases go up in appeal. There's one Trump-appointed judge who slowed some of the layoffs that he's going to be doing of the federal workers. That's going to get resolved. He just said, we're going to have a hearing on it. I don't think that's a real win for the Trump challengers. He's just saying, let's slow it down until we can actually have a hearing and I can hear the issues briefed. Their argument is you can't lay them off with 8 months of pay promise because they're only guaranteed pay through March. And so no one has the power to authorize them pay for the next 8 months. So we'll work that out. These people are going to go. They're taking the voluntary buyout and some are getting fired. Anyway, I really have faith that Trump does have the executive powers that he's saying he does, and that in 9 out of 10 of these cases, he'll win. I mean, it could be 10 out of 10, but I actually took a hard look at most of them and thought his executive power seems very much intact. These are just people who can't deal with reality. Deb, do we have the soundbite of the bureaucrat upset? Is it with, it's with Margaret Brennan. Speaking of Brian, so this is, I don't know why Margaret Brennan has decided to absolutely ruin her career. First with that vice presidential debate and with her J.D. Vance interviews, just the pathetic nature of her journalism in general. And now she and CBS News decide this is the place to go with the story, like the story of the Trump presidency, which, by the way, we talked about that poll, mentioned it in passing. Trump's poll right now, the latest poll has him up 6 on his approval rating since he was elected. He's at 53%, 47% disapprove. 53% is high for President Trump. It's across the board. I mean, several polls. Quinnipiac has him up 3. Emerson has him up 8. Pew's got him down 4. That's an outlier. The Economist has him up 6. CBS has him up 6. The people like what Trump is doing across age groups. The breakdown of the demographics on the approval rating, ages 18 to 29, he's up 10 with them versus approval versus disapproval. 30 to 44, up 4. Gen X, 45 to 64, up 12. And with the boomers, he's even. I mean, he's crushing it. And there's a reason he's crushing it, because as he said, he's doing all the things that he said he was going to do. But Margaret Brennan didn't get the memo. Margaret Brennan decided what we need to do is really highlight the stories of the poor federal bureaucrats who don't want to be fired. Here is SOT 20.
We spoke with a 10-year veteran of USAID who asked to stay anonymous out of fear for their family members' safety.
Civil servants are, at their core, sworn to uphold the rules of our government, of our Constitution, and to serve each incoming administration. My personal politics don't play a role.
It isn't clear why this sliver of spending, less than 1% of the federal budget, is the first focus of this so-called efficiency project. But it feels like a demolition, perhaps a preview of the future for other public servants.
Please pay attention to USAID. This might not affect you right now, but it will tomorrow.
It's a way to make us feel sympathy by making your guest sound like a monster. The voice modulation is disturbing, right? What is that? My God. No one feels sorry for the federal bureaucrats. Sorry, they just don't. They're more worried about their own lives and their own jobs, and none of us has lifetime tenure. Unless you're a Supreme Court justice or a federal judge, you don't have lifetime tenure. Why do you think you deserve to have your federal fat cat bureaucrat job forever? I don't have my job forever. I've got to work for it. I've got to earn it. I don't feel sorry for you. And CBS News putting all the pictures of the kids in Africa who are starving. I don't see like the Somalian dance troupe, LGBTQ trans endeavors on as your B-roll. Margaret, where's the trans choir from Ireland? Why am I paying for that? Right? Like that was at the B-roll. Oh, we're starving children. That's what Trump is doing. He's trying to cause the death of little children. Maybe you should look at Democrats who corrupted this program from the start to make it their favorite left-wing cause slush fund, endangering what legitimate offerings there were, To the point where the thing, as Elon said, is now all worms. Maybe that's where you should be doing your deep digging. Margaret. Okay? I really don't care, Margaret. Do you? All right. So he's just starting with USAID, and that one's not done. You heard him say, is going to go over to the Department of Education, and God only knows what we are going to find there. He's going to go to the Pentagon. In the meantime, over the weekend, Trump was revoking the security clearances, yes, of Joe Biden. As I said, I'm fine with it. And also, I love this one. This is small, but I've got to say, okay, he revoked the security clearances and banned from federal buildings Letitia James, the Attorney General. It's going to make it tough for her to go to federal court down in Manhattan. DA Alvin Bragg, so fun. Biden's former National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, who was Chief Foreign Policy Advisor to Hillary Clinton, too. Biden's Deputy Attorney General, Lisa Monaco. That's long past due. Lisa Monaco not only helped orchestrate the Russia hoax, but is completely behind letting Hunter Biden off the hook. She was the one running herd on a lot of these slow roll against Hunter Biden per those two whistleblowers from the IRS. Why should you have a security clearance at all? You abused it. Andrew Weissman lost his. I mean, what does he do now other than go on MSNBC and rip on Trump? Why does he need a security clearance? And here's my personal favorite, Attorney Mark Zaid. He so deserves it. Attorney Mark Zaid, who went to Albany Law School like me, and I used to like the guy. And then, of course, he started to publicly attack me when I didn't hate Trump. And he got very upset about that and started, all of his nonsense, even though I had defended him on Twitter, but he showed that I was wrong in my defense. He is a partisan hack. And he makes his whole business by defending these CIA whistleblowers. He's got to have top security clearance in order to represent them. And his whole game now is attacking Trump. He's a complete Trump derangement syndrome sufferer. He hates Republicans. Why should we allow him access to the nation's secrets? I don't know what's going to happen to his business now, but good luck, Mark. Anyway, Trump's been on a roll. He's doing a lot more, and we need it. We need it all. What he did with the Kennedy Center board, he got rid of all the Kennedy Center, or most of the board, and made himself chair. All they do is honor left-wingers. That's all this thing does. So he's right. Why don't we clean house? I think he made Rick Grinnell acting director, or he gave him an honor. I can't remember, but Rick Grinnell is now going to be on that board. I love it. It's like all your right-wing dreams come true every day. He's still at it. Okay, so we'll get back into that tomorrow and do more substance. Thank you for bearing with me. I do want to tell you just a couple other fun things of our trip. Doug got to meet Walter Isaacson. That was very cool. Doug's an author, as you know. Walter Isaacson is one of the best biographers in the land. Very cool guy. I guess he lives down there in New Orleans and was totally gracious with his time. Very nice to Doug. And I love to see Doug meet somebody he admires because it's a short list for him. He's got a lot of good taste. So thanks a lot, Walter. And I guess that's it. We'll do more behind the scenes pictures in our American News Minute newsletter this week. There's a bunch more pictures. There's a huge star that I ran into the hall. I'll post him. And you can get that at megynkelly.com. If you go there, you just sign up for our once a week email with all the news of the week, the highlights from the show, and behind the scenes photos, which are going to be really good this week with some more from Trumplandia backstage at the Super Bowl. Thank you guys for listening. And we will see you tomorrow with our friends from National Review and more. 4 years of crushing interest rates, runaway inflation, and reckless government spending. And who is paying the price? You. You might have bills stacking up, debt collectors on your back. You might barely be able to keep food on the table. Well, Done with Debt can be a way out. They have developed new aggressive strategies designed to get you out of debt permanently without bankruptcy or loans. Done with Debt stands between you and your bill collectors. They can go head-to-head with creditors, getting balances reduced, interest rates slashed, and penalties stopped. These guys will create a plan to end your debt fast and put more cash in your pocket every month. And right now, Done with Debt is accepting new clients, but you have to act fast. Some credit relief programs expire. Before you make another payment, consider a visit to donewithdebt.com or call 1-888-322-1054 right now. Speak with one of their debt relief strategists for free. Go to donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com.